Do you guys feel like every single time you explain yourself or you try to make someone understand where you're coming from, they just don't understand? So you keep explaining and explaining and explaining. And if you have to sit there until the next day, you will because you want that person to understand where you're coming from. If that's you, this video is for you. And that's me too. So this video is also for me. But I'm going to tell you the reason why you keep explaining yourself for no reason to people that don't care or don't really agree with you, right? I'm gonna explain to you why you keep doing it. I feel like, now let me ask you the question. Are you doing it because you're seeking validation or are you asking permission? Maybe sometimes you're not really asking them, like, what do you think? It's more so like, can you just tell me, yes, you agree with me or validate me in some type of way? It gets frustrating sometimes when you try to explain yourself to someone and they don't understand where you're coming from. That's one thing. But when you consciously see the person is understanding where you're coming from, but they don't agree with you, you'll sit there and try to explain so many times. And it's like, why are you wasting your time explaining to someone that does not agree with you? It's okay to disagree, okay? So today we're going to talk about why you keep explaining yourself. And maybe the reason why you keep explaining yourself is because you don't trust yourself. If you feel the need to explain every decision that you make, you might not be trying to help people understand you. You might be trying to get permission to choose yourself. Emotionally intelligent people know that explaining yourself too much can come from wanting everyone to agree with you. They understand that that person may never agree with their choice, but they're okay with it. They don't care. But why do you care? Why do you try to explain yourself so much to the point where you're not even sure about your own decision? Emotionally intelligent people already know what they're going to do. Like it or not, they're still going to do it. And that's why I really love emotionally intelligent people, because they're so confident in what they're going to do. They don't care about what other people think. They're not even going to try to explain their goals. They're just going to do what they got to do. And that's that. You don't need to over explain. If you already know what you want to do, that's all that matters. You don't need to say too much. That's something that I learned recently, because back then I used to like explain everything. Oh, I'm doing this. Oh, I'm doing that. Oh, the reason why I did this, the reason. People don't care. That's one thing I learned. People don't care anymore. Do what you got to do and move on. If the person has not asked you, don't give your 2 cents, because people don't care no more. That's one thing I understood. You can be on the phone with someone and literally they'll have a conversation. You're over here talking your butt off. They're asking you a different question. Like, they're not even going to talk about what you just said. They're just going to ask you. That's why now I just try to reduce my speaking and what I'm talking about. And I only speak about what I'm asked. Like, if you don't ask me, that's cool. I'm not going to answer. But emotionally intelligent people already understand the game, so they don't need to say too much. They don't need to explain what's going on in their life, what they're about to do, and what's going to happen. You know, they're just going to do what they got to do, and that's that. When they're asked, they answer. When they're not asked, they don't say nothing. That's something I had to learn, and I'm teaching y'all that. For example, a lot of people do this. You say no for something, then after you say no, you're like, hold on, let me explain. I can't do this because I have to do X, Y, and Z. Da, da, da. You don't need to explain anything. Just say no, and that's that. No should be a simple answer. 2026, no has to be a simple answer, okay? Don't try to explain yourself. People don't care. Look, if you can't do the task, they're going to find somebody else that's going to do it, okay? So don't even like think about it. Don't stress, okay? People that are emotionally intelligent understand that you may disagree, and that's okay, and that's cool. If a person is coming for you because you said no, just know they're not emotionally intelligent. I don't want to say they're not emotionally intelligent, because like someone can be emotionally intelligent and still feel some type of way because you said no, but I feel like they're not really in tune with, with their emotions and with life, because like you should understand, not everybody's going to do what you want them to do at that moment. And you should always be prepared for that. Not everyone is going to be at your service 24/7, okay? Second point, they don't confuse being misunderstood with being wrong. Sometimes we work so hard to make people understand where we're coming from that we forget we already understand where we're coming from. You know you don't mean no harm. I know I don't mean no harm. But you try to explain to that person like, hey, like, you know what, like, I don't want to be misunderstood. So I have to basically try to like change the way you think about me, because I don't want you to think I'm selfish, I'm stingy, I'm this, I'm that. But knowing that you actually don't even have it. You don't have it, you can't give, but you're here just overthinking about a boundary that you already set or that you already said no to, and you're trying to make that person understand where you're coming from. And I feel like that happens to me a lot. because I don't want people to think that I'm a bad person. It just makes me feel sad. Like I don't want to be misunderstood. Like I have my own things going on, but I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to look like a bad guy by saying no. So I hate when people ask me stuff. Don't ask me nothing because I don't want to seem like, I'm being mean. But sometimes you have to set that boundary. Like you can be misunderstood sometimes. It's okay to be misunderstood. You don't have to sit and try to make people, you know what I'm saying? Like change the way they're thinking because you don't want to seem like a bad guy. Being misunderstood doesn't automatically mean you're doing something wrong. For example, you set a boundary. Instead of letting that person feel how they feel, you try to go and prove your point. You try to prove your verdict to that person to make them understand that you're a good person. It's like you don't need to do that. Let them think what they want to think. Let them run away with that. Sometimes I be thinking like, oh my gosh, this person thinks I'm a bad person because I did X, Y, and Z. And it's like, no, I'm not a bad person. If you want to think that way, you can go ahead and think that way. Nobody really cares. Like, I'm not going to try to persuade you into thinking I'm a good person. If that's what you think, that's what you think. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel. I have to let you marinate. Like, I have to let those feelings marinate within yourself. I shouldn't try to, like, prevent those feelings from happening. Sometimes you have to set that boundary, and even if it hurts, it hurts. Like, you can't do anything about it. I feel like people always try to, like, they always try to like run and chase, the prevention before it happens. But when people say no to you, they don't explain or try to prevent your feelings from coming. I feel like that's a bad thing about being an empath, because I'm an empath and I'm the type of person like, if I have a feeling that you feel something, I'm going to try to explain that feeling quickly before you even feel it. But 2026 taught me you have to let people feel how they feel until they come and ask you like, I felt this type of way because wait for that person to come tell you. But it's okay to be misunderstood. It's okay. It's really okay. You're not a bad person. I'm here to tell you you're not a bad person. If you can't do it, you can't do it. Emotionally intelligent people know the difference between defending and explaining. They will communicate clearly to you, but if they notice that you are not understanding, they're not going to repeat themselves over and over and over. If I'm explaining something to you and I clearly explain it in the right way for everybody to understand, I didn't use big words, I didn't use a grammar that no one understands. I use clear words and everybody understood and was like, okay, I see. And I see that you are not understanding. I understand that you clearly decided not to understand. So I'm not going to sit and explain a couple times for you, because explaining and defending are two things. I'm not going to defend myself. That's one thing I'm not going to do. Don't defend yourself. Explain once. If everybody got it and that person doesn't, that person does not want to understand, okay? This is how you know a person is not trying to understand. You're explaining something, right? And that person is trying to argue with you. If you're explaining something and you're arguing with me, clearly I don't need to say anything else to you. Why am I wasting my time with you? So you got to pick up the cues and like, be like, wait, you're arguing with me. Like your brain needs to go, wait, hold up. This person's arguing with me. Okay. I just be looking, I'm like, okay. I just can't have respect for someone that does not even have respect for the things that I have to say. Why should I have respect for you if you are like, you know what I'm saying? Arguing with me when I'm like literally saying we don't have to argue, and you keep arguing with me. For me, it's just like I don't know how to say it. Like I just get, I don't know how to say it. I don't want to say annoyed or turned off because it's not like a relationship thing, but it's just like once you start, you know what I'm saying, arguing with me when I'm explaining something to you and I know you clearly understand where I'm coming from, and you don't want to understand, you don't want like you clearly don't want to understand. I clearly understand where you're coming from, so we're not gonna go back and forth. I don't have respect for you no more. I just be like, okay. And I don't know, I just can't. You don't need everyone to understand you. To trust yourself, believe in yourself, do what you gotta do, and move on. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys liked, and I'll see you guys in the next. Bye.